Good morning and thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea here on CTV. Welcome back from that very short break, and right now it's time for our views. My name is Agi Oase, and joining me are the ladies, Sarah Apollo, Shivan Auma and Priva Elibas. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You all look good today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
One of the ladies,
well.
I almost said girls, one of the ladies seated here actually seemed not to approve of me saying you actually look good this morning.
Who be
Shivan
that?
Auma.
Thank you.
I'm not.
Compliment accepted. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, it's a beautiful day. Today is Wednesday, the 22nd of June, 2022, and we are talking mentors and role models. Now, mentors are people who help other people, talk to them about their career choices, their goals and aspirations in life. Whereas role models are people that we usually look up to. Now, what happens is these words can actually be used interchangeably. Some people do agree that they do go hand in hand, but there's a thin line between mentors and role models. And definitely the ladies and I will be really deep diving into this conversation, see how important they are in our lives, how detrimental they also can be. I mean, there's always a good side and a bad side to everything. But to start with, mentors ensure that one makes informed decisions regarding important life choices. And they're usually outstanding individuals with a wealth of experience to share with others. Whereas role models, on the other hand, role models are people that in most cases are public figures. You can talk of Oprah Winfrey. I mean, those are the people. Whenever you ask almost multiple people in the world, who are your role models? If they're ladies, they'll tell you Beyonce, they'll tell you Oprah Winfrey, depending on what character traits and behaviors that they portray out there to the public. And role models are usually people that you emulate and want to be like. Yes. And to start off the conversation, I'd like to ask you ladies, do you have any mentors? Do you have any role models? If any, who are those? If you wouldn't mind sharing with us.
I will go first. I have role models. We'll talk about mentors later. But role models, I are a number of women in media that have just had outstanding careers, and women who have shown us how they started, how they struggled to get where they were, and how they are maintaining that position. People like Mo Abudu, she's a Nigerian, she owns Ebony Life TV. Then there's Bonang Matheba. Then there's Anele Mdodo. Then there's Nancy Kachungira. Then, my goodness, the list can go on and on. And there's Larry King. There's so many people. It's just not only just females, but also male news anchors and media personalities that I have looked up to. Role models, people who have emulated and walked the talk rather. Because sometimes you can look at a role model and they put up a facade on social media for other people. But the people that I have mentioned have gone on to walk the talk. They speak and move the same way that they portray themselves in public. So the case is different with mentors, and it's going to be a conversation later. But yeah, I've just given you a list of some of my role models.
Okay. Shivan, you have no role models?
Of course she does. Of course I do.
I saw you do this. That's why I say you probably have none.
No, I do.
Okay.
Well, when it comes to the aspect of role models, I think first of all, we need to understand the difference, because the two are different. A role model, like you said, is someone that you look up to. When it comes to a mentor, it's someone that is literally with you throughout your journey, and that is something I talked about when I was opening the show. But I do have people I look up to. It may not even be in my field of journalism as a career. My first person that I look up to is my dad. He has always been my role model. He's the one person I look up to. I look up to people like Oprah Winfrey, yes. She mentioned Nancy Kachungira. Those are people that I look up to. And it's very important that when we are looking up to these people, we understand where they're coming from. And this is something I think many of us do not really understand. You look up to a person and you want to be the Shivan of 2026, but you do not want to walk the walk that Shivan took in probably 2022. Like you cannot get up one day and you become a media personality, or you become an anchor on BBC. It's a whole phase that you go through. That means you have got to understand these people that you're looking up to as role models. You need to understand, okay, Agi Uwase studied from where did she start from? You say she did mass comm. Okay, then you say, okay, I'll also do mass comm if it's going to take me to where Angie is, and that is the place where I want to be. So we look up to role models, we want to be in their shoes, but we do not want to take the steps that they took. You may take different steps, but it's very important that you understand where did these people come from, because they have a story. Like when you look at Oprah Winfrey, it wasn't always a bed of roses for her. She started from somewhere. So in the same way, even as we speak this morning on air, I would say it is a journey. It's not easy. And for anyone who would want to be like me or who looks to me as their role model, I will not lie. It's not easy. I mean, there are so many tables you're going to have to turn. There's so many places where you're going to have to go to and you'll be rejected. The question is, are you willing to pay the price?
Okay, we'll get into, much deeper into that conversation in regard to role models and mentors. But mentors rather, oh my goodness.
Oh,
Priva,
yeah.
who are your role models?
I was about to say, girl, you don't want my opinion. But yeah, anyways, for my role models, they cut across so many different fields. Yeah. For example, I admire Barack Obama. I mean, he came from such an obscure background. Irrespective of your political differences, that is someone who can inspire. That is someone that you want to emulate. Like, you want to have that work ethic, have that hope in life and that drive to push you, to get to greater heights that people didn't even expect you, to achieve in life. So for me, some of my role models, we have Barack Obama, we have Taraji P. Henson. I mean, she moved to Hollywood, a single mother, and right now she's on top of her game. We have people like Viola Davis, who are still, they're black. They're not necessarily people who are put on the front line in their country, but I mean, they have made it. Somehow they've made it in life. So for me, role models can be anything. It can be family, it can be religious leaders, can be movie stars, can be businessmen, can be journalists. But for the sake of journalists, I really have to put it out there that Anna Garcia of True Crime Daily really does, she does so amazingly for me. If I would be just a tenth of that woman.
Okay, well, for me, just like you mentioned, that role models, it could be anyone. It can be your family member. For me, it's my mother. And I'll say it's for the fact that she's a very tenacious woman. Very persistent. She's one woman that you will call and say, "Mommy, I'm in this crisis," and she will immediately start off giving you solutions at the moment. So for me, that's it for me. But I mean, I do have people that I look up to in the media world. Everyone literally talked about Nancy Kachungera and so many other ladies. I do look up to them, but I wouldn't say they are my role models, and for the reasons that they also have the other side of them that I know nothing about. So I don't. But at least my mother, I literally know everything about her. So that's why she is my role model.
To understand exactly the steps they have taken, or the kind of people that they are.
Yes.
But you don't have to pick your role models based on other people's role models. You don't have to say that, because you mentioned media or because I work in media. No, you need to understand your role model is someone who is custom made and relatable to your story, or has walked a similar journey as you, or has handled a similar situation better than you have, and you want to emulate that. You want to be better than that. And also, having a role model does not mean you're going to copy and paste this person's life story. You have to pick and choose what works for you in their story. Times have changed. Many of the role models we have picked were living in a different era, are living in different countries, are living in different environments and different circumstances. So you pick that and you custom make it to you and how it suits you, and you apply that. So you don't have to say, because you say this is your role model, for me that person is my role model, that is fine. Pick and choose what works for you, and don't dismiss on
the other end
other people's role models. You get
rebuttal, the fact that I want to rebut. Yes, I want to rebut the fact that they mentioned you have to know what they've been through, what they have, the good and bad. You don't have to know that. They're just like you said, because I mean, you could even look up to your brother. Your older brother, maybe, let's say, studies so hard, is very smart, super smart, but you're like, okay, I'm going to study as hard as he does. But you forget that maybe in one or another, maybe he uses stuff like marijuana, or he smokes. And so, are you going to do the same? Because
absolutely
you cannot take over the life of your role model just because.
But just to clarify,
you look up to them.
The exact message I was trying to put across is that you may want to know what kind of life they have lived, so that you pick a leaf or two.
Yes,
especially
and-
if they have been in the same predicament as you're in. For example, if they were rejected and this particular role model also went through, for example, rejection while they were trying to get into the media world.
Yes.
How did they handle
The
it?
reason-
So you'd want to know how they handled it. That is the aspect that I mean.
Okay. The reason for me, I'm very picky about my role models. I'll just give you an example of R. Kelly. There's so many people who, you know, took him as their role model. But after tables turned and, you know, the documentaries was out there, everyone is saying, how could I ever have had R. Kelly as my role model? So their perspective about him entirely changed. Well, that is just me and my belief.
Don't make
On the
your
other
life
hand,
your
let's
role
talk
model
about
yours.
let's talk about mentors and role models interchangeably. Now, do you think that mentors should be role models? And the reason that I say this is the fact that a mentor is someone who helps you and talks to you about your career choices, your life choices, everything. So if they are that person that you can confide in about your life, why can't they be your role model?
I believe it's very important that, or rather for me personally, because I've seen a lot of mentors go ahead and use their information. You give a perfect description of who a mentor is. A person who is more experienced and advises you, okay? But many times, people who are more experienced, you never know what their ulterior motive is. We have gone on to see a lot of mentors abuse people. They are sexual predators. I'm not saying all of them are, but some of them have turned out to be sexual predators. R. Kelly, you gave a perfect example. Perfect example. Harvey Weinstein, you gave a perfect example. Many other people in Uganda, we know them. There are many. It's just that they have not been prosecuted and convicted, so we cannot say them.
They're still behind curtains.
In case they come for me here, but we know them. You know them in this media industry. You know them. Actually, right now, some of them are coming to your mind. But for me, it's very important for a mentor to have to walk their talk. So if you're giving me business advice and you're not a successful business person who is morally upright, I don't need you in my life, because I'm not sure what your ulterior motive is. You may have the perfect advice, and that's the thing about a lot of predators. They know how to say the right things, and they'll coerce you into doing awful things. How do you think people end up in terrorist groups? You get it's because somebody said things the right way. You get, they're great communicators. So for me, it's very important for a mentor to also be a role model. If I can't look at your life and want to emulate that or respect that and say that, oh wow, this person is walking the talk, then you cannot mentor me. And I have learned the hard way. Because I have seen many mentors go on to take advantage of people.
Yes.
Just because they are mentors, and everybody refers to them as mentors. They are always speaking at large gatherings. They are in your homes, they're in your schools, they're everywhere. But these are people on the flip side who are just taking advantage of people. How do you think cults happen? How do you think people join cults? These are all people who are labeled as mentors. But what exactly?
Mentor.
But then you have, if you're a mentor, you must be a role model. Period.
On the other side, if you are the mentee, don't you think it's up to you? Yes, if you are the mentee, don't you think it's up to you to choose? If let's say this person is mentoring you in your life, in your career, don't you think you should actually look at it on the other end and just pick out those things that the good things about the
Please
career
pick out
line?
good things about
And
R. Kelly right now.
and then I'm saying, but R. Kelly is not a mentor, right? He's a
He
role
was a
model.
mentor.
To
He was a
maybe
mentor to
somebody,
some-
maybe to someone
Let me
out
tell
there.
you,
Yes.
Do you know how those girls got into that situation? Do you know how they got into that situation? Did you watch the documentary?
Oh, yes, I did.
Because he was mentoring them. Because their parents saw him as a mentor to teach them the ways, the business and the art
Music.
of music.
But wouldn't you say
I
that
feel like
also in a way we are
putting a lot of
glorifying
and we're
these
putting a lot
mentors?
of pressure on our
Aren't we like
mentors.
glorifying them also, like making it look like
Like
they are
idols,
our
they're
all
like
and
gods.
idols in a
No,
way
they're
that-
Yes.
not. This is their role is advisory. As a mentor, your role is advisory. But what I am saying is that even these people who are experienced in whatever field, they can take advantage. So I'm saying, if you're just going to get somebody for his only just his advisory role, and you're not looking at his moral stand and how they conduct themselves in public, and if they are not practicing what they preach, then I think you need to reconsider.
Okay.
It is important, yes, pick out the good things, but I'm telling you, you can't. It's hard. This is why you mentioned R. Kelly is perfect
Yes,
example.
yes,
I'm going back
yes.
to that.
Yes.
You're saying the mentee would say, okay, fine, he has been convicted.
Let me
He's
just
a-
pick
he's a-
out the
he's a predator.
advice
Okay,
and
let me just
ignore
pick
this
out
side.
Are you going to allow yourself to be in the presence of a sexual predator? Please.
Okay,
Something
now
I want to
besides
highlight
that,
also
besides that,
to
let's
just to respond to what you asked and in relation to what Sarah said. I think there's actually a difference, because a role model to me is someone I want to be like. Now, I may want to be like you, but you may be probably well done in the aspect of fashion, the way you carry yourself, the way you respect people, the way you handle issues when they have arisen. But a mentor is someone who is, if for example they are good at financial literacy and you're looking to maybe be an entrepreneur, they would be the right person to talk to, and your role model might not be. So for me, I have different mentors in different aspects. And for example, I'll give you an example. My biggest fan, the person that I keep going to every time I have issues throughout my life, and this is someone that has seen me grow, it's not even my dad, it's my cousin Byron, One, he has the financial literacy that I need, but he's also able to sit me down and coach me through life situations, something that my role models would not do, because one, a role model might not even be someone within your
probably
country.
do not
They
know
even,
you.
They even do not know you probably. But also, what are you doing? Admiring someone who doesn't know you. Anyway, that has never made
Okay,
sense.
admiration is a
But
good
it's
thing.
okay.
Yes.
But my point is, for me, in my perspective, and I respect all your opinions, I would say, for me, a role model and a mentor, they're
Should be
just
different.
supposed to be different, because a role model may not even be within your vicinity.
Can I say
Briefly
something?
before
Can I say
I move to
something?
Priva.
Why would you want to take advice from somebody who is not putting in the work, or who is not succeeding at what they're telling you to do? Do you understand what I mean? How can I take skincare? I'm giving an example. How can you take skincare advice from somebody who has bad skin? Make it make sense.
But that's
Do you
not
see
what
my
I've
point?
said.
No, do you see my point? You can't, I'm saying you cannot take advice from somebody who is not emulating what they're talking about. So for me, that's why I'm saying, you say that they are separate. And they
Yes,
should
I
be
said
kept
they're separate. Like
I
a
am
mentor
saying-
is someone
I am
who is
saying
good at something that you'll go to for advice. If it's financial
a
literacy, you
mentor
go
is
to
just
them.
someone who is, his role or her role is advisory, period.
Exactly.
It doesn't
And
even
they don't
matter.
necessarily have
Exactly.
to be your role model.
Exactly.
And that person, it even doesn't say that person has to succeed at that, and be a champion at that advice that they're giving you. So
Okay.
I'm saying you cannot. She's saying separate them. I'm saying they have to
They have
go
to be together.
because I can only take advice from somebody who is
From just that one person.
that,
Okay.
you give me advice that is working, not advice that is theoretical.
Briefly, Priva, I would like to tell you, not to tell you, you to tell us.
Yeah.
Do you think that a mentor should be a role model? And also, what are those, what should you base on to choose your mentors?
Honestly, I feel like mentors should not necessarily be role models. And my reasoning behind that is that at the end of the day, what a mentor is supposed to do in your life is basically give you the guidance and have that willingness to teach you different things. And maybe when you're stuck in a particular situation, they're able to help you and give you some, help you with some knowledge to make those major decisions in life. I personally believe that you can be a mentor without necessarily being a role model. It can be totally separate. Like I said, I look up to Anna Garcia, but that chick doesn't even know who I am. She doesn't really know who I am. Yes, that woman doesn't know who I am. But if I want some sort of advice, in regards to journalism, if I give my mom a call, she's probably going to give me some sort of advice that is going to be, useful to me, especially if it's, something that is major when it comes to making choices. So for me, it can be two separate things, but you have to keep it in mind that maybe your mentor has to be a personal role model to a certain degree. You should look at them as someone, you want to be like, or emulate, or at least you trust what they say when they open when they start speaking to you anyways. The other question was?
what do you best
would
on?
you
What do you best on
consider?
to
Oh, what would I best
to
on?
choose a
Honestly,
mentor?
is the fact that someone is willing to teach you so much. They are making themselves available to help you in whatever way. And like Sarah
A
did
mentor
mention,
or a role model?
a mentor.
Yeah.
And like Sarah did mention, many of them are there to take advantage of people. Look out for those characters. You know, a mentor should in no way, you know, try to, you know, make advances towards your stuff like that. It doesn't work like that. But if someone is
Recruit you
really
into a cult.
you get, yeah. But if
Think about cult.
I talked about terrorism, but my guest on Twitter Jab said we don't have rebels in Uganda.
we don't. But what I was talking about is that if you are a mentor, please have genuine intentions. Be there to help this person develop. Be there to help this person grow. Not having any other ulterior motives. Yeah.
Okay, now these are some of the reasons why you might need or why you should choose mentors and role models, and I just had to put them together. One of them is they wield a lot of power and influence over people, especially youth, whenever they whether we choose to accept it or not, and that is absolutely true. And the other one, they are direct or indirect influencers of your life. Your mentors can influence your life decisions because they give you advice, and so do your role models, because you will look at her on stage, you look at Beyonce and you're like, I want to be like Beyonce. So they'll definitely influence how, you know, the career choices that you make ahead of time. The other one, they also indirectly or directly empower people to make important life-changing decisions. And these are some of the things that mentors can do for you. One of them is add important values to you. They help you maximize and exercise skills that are often unused. They facilitate your growth and psychological development. They help you build social relationships. They help you to reduce negative feelings, and also they can help you build confidence in yourself. The conversations that you always have, they can help you to build your confidence, especially in moments when you are down. But now briefly, let's talk about some of the ways that our mentors and role models can be detrimental to our lives and our life choices.
Again, it just listen, when you idolize some, because there's a very thin line between looking up to a role model and idolizing them, and then there's also a thin line taking where you are, as in there's a very thin line between being manipulated and being given good advice. You get. So sometimes I think you need to always ask for a second, a third, fourth, fifth, even 10th opinion from somebody else. Always ask for advice. All I would say is that don't be blindsided, or don't catch yourself on the wrong side, or don't be too naive. All right, always be trusting. And also another thing is, before you start looking up to somebody, do extensive research about this person, read about them, and ask yourself if you'd really want to get yourself involved with such an individual. Again, I said mentors can be very helpful in our lives, but if you find yourself on the wrong side with somebody who is not practicing what they preach, they can definitely deter you and just end up ruining your life. Again, I learned the hard way, and that has, I've been in a situation where that has happened. Somebody that I thought was, trying to help me was instead trying to, do their own thing. You understand? A lot of people have found themselves, again, like I said, in cults, in terrorist groups, they have become devil worshippers, they have gone to false prophets. You understand?
Yes.
Because people like that say, I am mentoring you and giving you the keys to life, and yet they're actually just destroying your life. So it's always important to, always get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, and always ask about people. As in, the internet has information about everybody, so read up about them. And for me, this is my advice: do not separate the two. Get yourself a model mentor, because a model mentor is someone who is a role model and a mentor in one. So get yourself a model mentor.
Okay, so when it comes to me, I think I would also highlight on what Sarah said. Now, me, I will not say idolizing, I would say respect and fear. If someone is doing mentorship and they're mentoring you, it's very important that you don't confuse that. To respect them, but also don't go with a naive mind. Go when you're also educated about something, so that even when you're being told that this is a cow, yet you clearly see it's a zebra, you're able to tell the difference. But some of us, we also go to these mentors to be mentored, and yet we have completely no idea of what we are talking about. So in a way, you're taken advantage of. You're told lies, like you're sold land, you're sold sand, and you think you're buying a plot of land.
Okay, Priva, briefly.
Well, what I have to say is that having a role model, just a role model itself, is really looking for inspiration in the wrong place. At the end of the day, you can look up to someone, you want to emulate them, but have that mentor that is going to guide you in life as you know you go about it, and make sure they actually walk the talk. They have to show through their actions and their words that they're actually a mentor to you.
Okay, there's just two things that I want to highlight in regard to how mentors and role models may be bad for you. One of them is losing yourself. When you have a role model, you tend to try and be like them, and in the process might end up losing yourself and being someone else because you're trying to be exactly like them. So you need to separate yourself from your mentor, what they believe in, what they want, and just like the ladies say, you need to read up on them so that you know who they are, what they believe in, and what they intend to achieve in life, so that you don't end up losing yourself in the long run. The other one is being blind. Now, having a mentor or a role model can make you oblivious to the negatives in them. But remember one thing, while you are choosing your mentors and your role models, remember that they are human and they are not perfect. They're just like you, a human being. Well, that winds up the conversation that we had for you here on Our Views. But remember to connect with us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at CTV Uganda. Also, let us know, what do you think of mentors and role models? Keep watching Sunrise at Sea.
Well, we do thank you for being a part of Sunrise at Sea right from the hour of 7 a.m. up until 9 a.m. We did have interesting conversations in regard to role models and mentors, and also we did have a conversation in regard to tackling insecurity in East Africa. At the end of the day, what we do here every day is simple: educate you, inform you, and entertain you. Make your mornings worth having. Otherwise, from the team and I wish you a lovely, lovely day. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Don't blink.